it's my name's Zeph Forrest. I'm a lawyer practicing in the UK. My background is I trained as a barrister at law in the UK. Was called to the bar of England and Wales. Seems like an age ago now. But I'm also a practicing attorney at the bar of Jamaica as well. So some years I have been practicing in the UK and Jamaica. My practice area in the UK is predominantly these days wills and probate and estate administration. In Jamaica, I practice criminal and civil litigation. When I was introduced to the case that you were dealing with for Madeline, it was clearly something that I had lots of experience of myself.
Great. Well, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate this. I just wanted to go over briefly a little bit of how we worked together on this particular case and give a little bit of background of what it involved, how we came to work together, and then what we did for our mutual client and what the end result was. So I had researched Madeline because there was a dormant account I had located that she was entitled to claim. And so I had actually located Madeline through LinkedIn, and I contacted her, and naturally she wasn't sure in the beginning if she could or should trust us based on what I was telling her, that she was entitled to this money and that we could assist her with recovering it for her. And then Zeph and I explained how you came into it then at that point. And I should point out, I had located her living in England where she resides. However, there was an account here through a probate estate that she was entitled to receive a share of.
Okay. My meeting with Madeline was almost accidental. I had been in London looking at some premises for another client of mine, and I drove to the building where Madeline resides, and was looking for somewhere to park, and she just happened to be driving out of her parking space at the time, and she said, well, look, you can park here. A conversation developed, and she said, once she discovered what I did, she said, I have a matter in the United States, perhaps you can help me with that. And that's how I came into it. Madeline had not been a client of mine previously, but it was on that particular date, and she asked me to get involved, and I was happy to do so. Shall I carry on, or do you want to?
Sure. I mean, that's quite a chance meeting. It's a great story. But yeah, so then what did you do for her to, assist her and, give her some protection and make sure that, she could determine whether this is a scam or something legitimate?
Sure. Yeah, and then, and this in our I can't call it a business because at some point it's a business, sometimes it's a lifestyle, sometimes we're working for charitable reasons, but yeah, we have to be extremely careful, as you know. So it's a question of carrying out some due diligence, and that's primarily how I started, looking at your details as much as I could find online, to the extent where I knew where your office was. I probably knew people involved in your office. I had sort of gone into the Michigan court system, and I'd seen your details there, and some more other checks just to verify that you were a genuine person, as I'm sure you have done in the past as well, and
Exactly.
will still do. Yes, so there's a certain amount of due diligence work that went on first, and once I was satisfied, I was able to advise Madeline that she could comfortably carry on, and we would monitor the case as we went along. So my role was pretty much in the background initially, and I only popped up when something really needed to be queried, or I felt I needed something to be checked or double checked.
Perfect. Okay. All right, great. And so then if you can tell us, what was the end result for Madeline? What did she end up as a result of the case? And then, what was your experience, both for you and Madeline, working with our firm? What would you, say to someone else who might be going through the same, process, trying to figure out if they should work with us on something like this?
Well, I mean, I understood very much the issues that were taking place and the delays that happened. I understood why. I mean, we've just gone through 2 years and a bit of COVID, and that has impacted on everything. It's impacted on my work in the UK, in the Caribbean, everywhere. So we understood some of the delays, and then there are delays in the court system. I'm not too familiar with what happens in Michigan courts, but I can imagine it's pretty much the same as here, where there are numerous adjournments, resetting dates and so on, and it often takes quite a long time to get another date to get back before a court again. So yes, there was a certain amount of that, but I understood largely why that was happening, so wasn't unduly concerned about that. Of course, Madeline had to be reassured to some extent, because that's not her experience. Right. And I find that in our business, managing our clients' expectations is a significant issue that we have to deal with. Unfortunately, not all lawyers or attorneys are actually concerned about that, but we should be. And overall, the experience was fine. There were no complaints, really. I had nothing to complain about. Madeline received, the benefits that she was due, and that sort of transpired with, as I say, without any issues certainly on my part. Yes, there were delays, and yes, it seemed to take a while, but then I understood that, because virtually all my cases take much longer than initially expected to complete.
Yes. So yes, just to comment on the delays, there were 2 adjournments that were basically requested by the independent party that the court appointed in this matter, which sometimes the courts here do appoint another party to review the matter. And unfortunately, that individual just was not able to get on the case as quickly as we had hoped, and they ended up needing more time to review things, and so they did request 2 adjournments. But I will say we got this done. I think we started working on it in the fall, and then we got the payout over to Madeline in June. So for a probate case, I usually tell my clients figure about a year. That's pretty typical. We got it in under a year, even with those adjournments. So I'm actually pretty pleased with how quickly we were able to get it out. But anyway, so Madeline ended up with her payout. She got her inheritance that she was entitled to. She didn't know about it before we reached out to her, so I feel like it was a really good result in the end. And we had the pleasure of recovering this money for her. We got to work with you in your office, and to us, it was just a good result all around. So I appreciate you taking a couple minutes to talk with us today, and hopefully other people may feel a little bit more comfortable hearing this experience, that there's an attorney overseas who vetted us and decided we were trustworthy, and in the end this client ended up getting her payout. So thank you.
Excellent. And I must say that this is the first occasion that we have spoken face to face, despite the fact that we're thousands of miles apart. Yes, I'm extremely pleased with the experience I've had with you, and look forward to working with you again in the future if possible. Yeah, that would be great. All right, thank you.